Opinion Kirana Hills, fake memos, Trump's claim lessons from fog of latest IndiaPak tensions in the fog of geopolitical brinkmanship, narratives often travel faster than facts. The recent controversy surrounding India's Operation Sindoor, speculation about strikes near Pakistan's Kirana Hills, and a viral memo alleging a radiation leak is a case study in how modern conflict plays out as much online as it does on the ground. At the heart of the issue lies the April 22 Pahalgam terror attack, one of the most devastating attacks in Kashmir in recent years, which claimed 26 innocent lives. India's swift and targeted military response on May 710, dubbed Operation Sindoor, was both a statement of resolve and a calculated exercise in escalation management. But what followed was a potent mix of misinformation, nuclear anxiety, and diplomatic chest-thumping, particularly from an alto-familiar quarter US President Donald Trump. Let's be clear, India did not strike Pakistan's Kirana Hills. Talk of nuclear escalation had been circulating for days well before a journalist raised the issue at a military briefing. Air Marshal Awudhesh Kumar Bharti's deadpan response: "Thank you for telling us that Kirana Hills houses some nuclear installation. We did not know about it." Was not just a denial, it was a subtle rebuke to speculative journalism and the dangers of loose talk in moments of military tension. Open-source intelligence OSINT confirms that India's strikes were surgical and deliberate, focused on terrorist launchpads and strategic military infrastructure like the Surgodha Air Base, not sensitive nuclear sites. Kirana Hills is significant, no doubt. Believed to be a fortified nuclear storage complex and located dangerously close to some of the Indian strike zones, it sits atop a pile of both paranoia and military calculus. But India's adherence to the 1988 India-Pakistan Non-Attack Agreement (NA), which prohibits targeting each other's nuclear facilities, has remained intact. That fact matters strategically, diplomatically, and morally. Enter the no-debunked Radiological Safety Bulletin. A document that cited the wrong isotope indium-192 instead of iridium-192 and was riddled with vague geography and absent official seals. It was a master class in disinformation, specific enough to provoke panic, but flimsy enough to be discredited with a few clicks. Fact-checkers moved quickly. No radiation spikes. No IAEA alerts. No hospital admissions. No official acknowledgement from Pakistan. Just a viral hoax linked to a convenient narrative that India had sparked a near-nuclear incident. This wasn't merely misinformation, it was weaponized doubt, likely seeded to erode India's moral high ground and sow chaos in public discourse. And then, Donald Trump entered the chat. On May 10, Trump took to Truth Social to claim that his administration had averted a nuclear war between India and Pakistan, crediting himself, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio for brokering a ceasefire that could have saved millions. There's truth to the fact that the US played a behind-the-scenes diplomatic role. High-level calls were made. Cooler heads were urged to prevail. But India's Ministry of External Affairs swiftly rejected claims that the ceasefire resulted from American pressure or trade leverage. According to Indian officials, the decision to de-escalate was coordinated directly with Pakistan's Director General of Military Operations. So why did Trump inflate his role? Perhaps to posture strength ahead of elections. Perhaps to resurrect an image of himself as the world's last great dealmaker. But what he actually did was hijack a sensitive moment between two nuclear-armed nations for political theater. And in doing so, he undermined the complex, calibrated diplomacy that had actually prevented a wider war. This episode reveals something deeply unsettling: the speed and volume of conflicting narratives have made it nearly impossible for the average citizen to discern truth from fiction. One journalist's question about Kirana Hills became a firestorm. One forged memo ignited radiation fears. One politician's self-congratulatory post triggered a new layer of geopolitical spin. In an age of information warfare, perception management is as potent as missile deployment. Misinformation doesn't just confuse, it provokes, escalates, and polarizes. And in South Asia, where historical wounds and nuclear doctrines coexist in precarious balance, such manipulation is a loaded weapon. India, for its part, walked a tightrope. It responded with military precision, asserted its right to defend its citizens, and simultaneously avoided a full-scale escalation by stopping short of targeting nuclear assets. That restraint matters. Pakistan, though initially reactive, also agreed to a ceasefire. While ceasefire violations did follow, calm was quickly restored, a testament to how even adversaries can recognize the abyss when they stare into it. And as for the use, credit is due for quiet diplomacy, not for Trump's hyperbole. Global leadership in times of crisis means working behind the scenes, not tweeting for applause. The Kirana Hills controversy wasn't just about whether India hit a nuclear facility or whether a memo was real. It was a moment that revealed how vulnerable modern conflict is to distortion and how quickly narratives can spiral into existential panic. Swipe left for next video over India and Pakistan. The lesson is clear: deterrence isn't just about missiles. It's about managing perception, resisting provocation, and doubling down on verifiable facts in a world flooded with noise. And for global players, especially those with a taste for spectacle, the responsibility is even greater. Because in South Asia, missteps don't just cost credibility. They cost lives. None views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily reflect NEWS18's views. Latest blogs.